Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. Now we're going to add one to my Ancient America series. You know I like to be thorough. We're going down today to Aztec Ruins National Monument, and this is near the Four Corners area, and I made a video about the ruins around Four Corners, and there are many of them. Some I have not talked about, some I just included in compilation videos. But we got Chaco Canyon, I think about 50 miles to the south, Mesa Verde, Hovenweep, Edge of the Cedars, Canyon de Shelley is right over here. There are a few others. But today we're going to talk about Aztec Ruins National Monument. And this is northeast of Farmington, I think about 18 miles near Flora Vista. And this is actually named Aztec, New Mexico. This place was discovered in the 1800s by settlers, and they named it Aztec National Monument, just mistakenly thinking the Aztecs were responsible for these. But the main area here, 400-room massive complex, and we're going to talk a little bit about those Kivas here, those round features. Let's just do a little reading. Now here are the ruins at Aztec National Monument, and they are part of the Chaco culture, the Chaco Canyon culture. I think this is about 50 miles north of Chaco Canyon, but some pretty impressive ruins, and these were taken apart by early settlers here to build their homes when they came here in the 1800s. But this circular structure, this Kiva, has been reconstructed, and they theorize there was a roof on top of it and holes in it here that served a purpose, and we'll talk about those in a little bit here. But these ruins seem to be built about 1100 AD and seem to be connected to the Chaco Canyon culture and the other ancient cities in this area, and there's even some ancient roads also. But as other ancient sites, it seems human habitation goes back here a couple thousand years before that. Now here is an aerial pic from a few decades ago. 400 rooms were in this huge building, this massive Kiva that they did some reconstruction, put a roof back on it. They theorize was on here originally. And there's a mound with another Kiva here. But these ruins found in the 1800s, Aztec ruins they were initially called, and that name kind of stuck. But these buildings were very impressive, and they were well built. And the proof of that is that they still remain today in this fashion. But these originally 3 stories tall, hundreds of rooms in one main building here. Now here's a map of the site, and this is the main area that's open to the public. There are mounds and other ruins just to the east that are closed to the public, but are noted on the map here. But here's the visitor center, the main ruins, and here's that little area I pointed out. Here's what they call the Hubbard tri-wall site, and this says backfilled for better preservation. And that kind of reminds me of the circular feature that is at Sacsayhuaman. But here is the Hubbard tri-wall, concentric circles here, and here are the ruins at Sacsayhuaman. I notice a slight resemblance there. Same purpose? I don't know. Just reading a little here, it says, Aztec is remarkable for its wealth of archaeological remains concentrated in a small area. Besides the Mammoth West Ruin, the enigmatical Hubbard tri-wall site, and other major complexes within the park, there are remnants of many buildings, roads, and kivas on nearby river terraces and bottomlands. Except for the West Ruin, the Hubbard site, and part of the East Ruin, none of the other sites have been excavated, and only a few have been sampled. The Hubbard site is one of a handful of tri-wall structures in the southwest. It was built of 3 concentric walls divided into 22 rooms encircling a Kiva. This complex stood on top of 2 earlier structures, one of which was an adobe. And it talks about Mound F right here. It says Mound F is also a tri-walled structure almost twice the diameter of the Hubbard ruin. It is the largest such structure in the southwest. But let's talk about these great Kivas, these circular structures. And this comes from Tom Orbison, and I will leave this link below. But it says, standing in the altar room, looking out through the east-facing door towards the dark mesas, I could tell that the sun was about to rise. On this summer solstice morning, the sky was streaked with red and yellow clouds. A halo of light formed behind the mesas, and then an arc of brilliant blinding light peeked over the mesa tops. As the world slowly turned, I watched the ancient sun god rise above the house of the great Kiva. There are many ruins in northwestern New Mexico and the surrounding Four Corners region, perhaps none as spectacular and mysterious as the House of the Great Kiva located at Aztec National Monument near the city of Aztec. An outgrowth of their cosmic religious tradition was the use of solstice diagonals and equinox bearings in the construction of various religious buildings. Earl Morris, the noted southwestern archaeologist who excavated the Great Kiva in 1921, described it as the center of the highest knowledge then known to the Chacoans. I will leave a link for this full article below. I thought it was interesting, the summer and winter solstice and how the rising and setting sun plays an effect in the Kiva here. Seems there was some different intentions for these Kivas, but some of them, the main ones, was surely cosmological. And in a lot of creation myths, the sky was quartered into 4 parts. So if you have these aligned with the cardinal points, these circles were meant to reflect the sky above. The earthly conception of the circle of the sky. Back in 1982, archaeoastronomer Ray Williamson said about the Great Kiva at Chaco Canyon, and that's what you're looking at on your screen right now. He said it was meant to serve as an earthly image of the celestial realm. It was not an observatory, but a ritual building whose structure reflects the central place astronomy had in ancient Pueblo religious practice. Just like many ancient cultures that were in this general area, these people were astronomers. But this is inside the Kiva at Aztec National Monument. It has this layer of green stones. So does that represent the earthly plane? Here's a shot of Chaco Canyon. These great Kivas. Where do the Kivas come from? Well, I've read where they came down with early settlers who came across the Siberian landmass 12, 13,000 years ago in that theory. But don't we have Kivas down at Corral, Peru, that are much earlier than these? Seems that the Kiva came up from the south, not from the first settlers who came across the land bridge. As I showed you earlier, one of the Kivas here, the big one, was reconstructed and a roof was put over it. They theorized that's how they originally were. But prayer sticks were prepared in the Kivas and used for various rituals, including the kachinas for calling forth the spirits. And the Kivas were symbolic of the entry to the fourth world, the present world, and the hatchway symbolized the emergence from the other worlds, the home of the kachina spirits. So it seems some of these served a function, and these were symbolic, but these also had 4 pillars that supported the roof. And I have talked many, many times about the 4 pillars and how those are central to the Osiris myth. But here is the reconstructed Great Kiva with the roof and the little windows here that allowed the sun in on important days of the year. And here is the reconstructed inside, what they theorize this looked like when this place was functioning. And a portal coming up from the underworld and 4 pillars. Now how many Egypt videos have I shown you with tombs and other things? The 4 pillars kind of means the 4 pillars of creation. And I have talked about this in the past, the shafts in the Great Pyramid. There are 4 of them. And maybe we're thinking about this wrong. Maybe they're not made to represent shafts. Maybe they are put in there to represent these 4 pillars of creation. The walls were sometimes decorated with mythological figures, but the Kivas were entered through the roof hatchway by means of a ladder whose poles extended down from a flat rooftop. Also, a small hole or indentation in the floor was called a Sipapu, symbolizing the portal through which their ancient ancestors first emerged to enter the present world. And that kind of has an association to the Osiris myth because he emerges from the underworld. He's symbolized as a rabbit. Can you figure out the connection there? And of course, that certainly fits with other ancient traditions of this world being created by people who lived underground or in caves. And ants are directly associated with this myth in this culture. But that is Aztec Ruins National Monument and the story of the Kivas. And this was an important place in the Chaco culture, I think it is called, related to Chaco Canyon. Edge of the Cedars, Hovenweep, Mesa Verde, and a few other places here in this general area. I know more about the cities of ancient America here than I do the current cities in this general area. But I just thought I would bring that to you today. Hope you thought that was interesting. You all have a very nice day.